Hello, everyone. We'll give about 1 minute or 2 minutes to see if more people are joining. I say let's just get started and people can still hop on. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'll introduce Rodrigo and we're very open to questions. So please use the Q&A to ask any questions you may have. Nothing is too much. And we have our technical expert with us today. So no question is too crazy. And otherwise, we'll get back to you later. So I'm Lisette van Kessel. I'm head of marketing at Zendy. And I'm together with Rodrigo Pinto, our chief technology officer at Zendy, who's and his team are the mastermind with everything that you can do on this platform today. I'll share a little bit about Zendy. I'm sure you have seen it before or have used it before. But yeah, we come from a mission where we feel that knowledge should be accessible for everyone. So we once started this platform about 7, 8 years ago to provide access to those who come from universities and all of a sudden lose access to knowledge, but still may need access to research or scholarly communications. Um, then about 2 years ago, we had this 2, 3 years ago, this whole flow of generative AI, which all of a sudden, yeah, made it a completely different space to play around and to do your research faster. I think we all know probably publications are jumping out of everywhere faster than ever, and it's a huge amount that you have to get through if you're doing your research for a paper or for your studies. Um, yeah, so of course we have the AI assistant, we have summarization, we have insights nowadays, and with the recent launch of the agentic AI architecture, it all became even more interesting and to hear about all the possibilities that we now have to support not just individuals but also libraries to really serve their researchers into getting to the knowledge faster, better, and more efficient, and maybe more important than anything to make it a trusted resource. So I'd like to hand over to Rodrigo and hear what we have launched this week for you and how we're moving forward from here.
Thank you, Lisette. Hello, everyone. Again, thank you for attending this webinar. So let me first share my screen. We'll quickly go through a few slides and then we'll go directly to the new changes live. Let's show. One second. Can you see my screen? Hopefully, yes. All right. Okay. So what's new inside? So for some of you that already have used throughout these years the platform, you will immediately notice the changes, not only in the look and feel, but also in the behavior. The main highlights is that this assistant is more capable, is smarter, and is scalable, right? In the past, we have, of course, our own model, but any changes, any feedback, we had to take it on board and take some offline time to fine-tune the model further to be able to apply these changes. So it was a more tedious process, let's say. Now we have adopted something that is really popular nowadays. Probably it's used very often, and it's the agentic model architecture. So basically, we have architected agentic orchestration, meaning that we have many agents behind the scenes that are that have some hierarchy and take decisions based on other agents, like a supervisor that will decide who is the best agent to answer this question, right? So we have expert agents capable of answer depending on what question is asked. Now, on the front end, you will realize that we now have inline references. Why this is important, even though might seem just like a simple UI change, it's because even though we have a double mechanism to validate, make sure the references exist, the users feel the need to know where these answers were used and if the references were related to the answers at the end of the day, not only that the references are valid. So that's why we changed the behavior of the model in order to make inline references. So each and every answer, at the end of every answer, it will be the inline reference will be added. So we can make sure the model is not making up parts of the answer, not using the internal knowledge or hallucinating about an answer. And another thing that we have added, and this goes in line with the agentic architecture and how easy it is now for us to add more features and capabilities according to the feedback we will be receiving, and so changes will come more often. This new functionality is a multilingual understanding. Even though the majority of the content, the papers, are in English, we have seen that users sometimes they ask questions about research in their original language, right? We have seen students from Korea, China, South America asking questions in their original language, and throughout the search, the model was not able, our RAG was not able to find these queries because they were not matching the English language that the majority of the papers are indexing, right? So now there is an agent behind the scenes that will translate these queries to English or whatever language is the content indexing, and then retrieve the answer, reason about the retrieval, and answer in the original language the question was asked. So it's behaving like a middleman at the end of the day. So, and you can try by yourself, you will realize now you don't have to worry about typos, or even if you speak in your own language and you are using a slang or your own regional language constraints, the model will understand it, most likely. Now also, but nevertheless, we added a transparent thinking process. So you can know exactly what the model is doing and how it's getting to the answer. So you get feedback in real time of what the model is doing and how it is doing it, which I think it's a very valuable addition in order to understand the thought process of the model and and how long it's taking to retrieve the answers. Now, we added some specialized agents as well, and we will continue adding. This is a continuous process, so we will add more. Pretty soon there coming more specialized agents for research and other purposes. And we are taking on board continuously the feedback we see with the user interactions, of course. We have the SOLR Research Agent. SOLR is our database where we have all the Zendy data, right? All the metadata is indexing in our database. And in addition to that, we index to use the RAG capabilities. That's how we started doing the AI. But there are some downsides of retrieving through the index data versus retrieving from the data from the database we use for the normal search. Some downsides and examples that we can try is like when you ask the model, get me the latest paper in this subject area, right? The model will normally any AI model that uses the traditional RAG will try a retrieval based on a semantic similarity of that query. And if you set the latest, it will try to look for a corpus of a research that use the keyword latest research and the topic. So you won't necessarily get the latest. However, with the agentic architecture, and supervisor agent will decide, no, it's better to carry out a normal search and order by the recent date, so we can provide the latest research. So the supervisor agent is taking the decision in real time and combining the best of both worlds, because you have the real-time live data querying plus the semantic similarity of the traditional RAG at the same time. And the model is deciding, depending on the query, which one to use. Also, in order to address things like related to Zendy, we have a dedicated support agent for Zendy. And of course, what I mentioned before, everything is done through the agentic orchestration layers, where supervisors and agents interact with each other to get to the answer, right? Look at this like a business meeting when they are brainstorming about something. That something is your query, your prompt, that they are trying to figure it out. So not only you have one model, but you have several experts trying to answer your questions. Now, let's see how this looks. Now, let me now share this other one. You see my screen? Oh, okay. Let me share the. Okay. Now, this is ZAIA. It's the same UI, but now the difference are in how the response is carried out. For example, we can ask any question. Let's say, does PFP help building muscle? I even have a typo in building, so let's see how it performs. So as you can see, it's telling you what it's doing step by step, gathering information, planning next move, searching through index knowledge, and finalizing. Now it's giving me an explanation, and it's getting my answers from Zendy. So it's prioritizing our knowledge base for the answers. And it's also providing answers outside the Zendy, providing the UI URL. Now, I can even follow up to get more in depth, or even ask for something similar. And also you see that in this step, as usual, we have a extra mechanism to validate the references. So these are verified resources, meaning that these 3 references are related to each answer in these paragraphs, right? And also they exist and the link exists as well. So we take extra care of that and we go above and beyond traditional models that will rely on the model reasoning skills, try to mitigate the hallucinations. Well, we prefer not to fully trust the model and add extra layers to make sure the references are reliable. So we can easily follow up. I have heard there are new studies that point that suggest creatine also help the brain function. So probably because I saw in the news or saw some articles, I don't remember. I want to double check on that. Is that true or not? So same, giving all the moves and searching through the index knowledge. And as you can see, beyond its well-known benefit for muscle performance, may also aid brain function. Creatine is essential compound. Creatine plays a crucial role in cellular energy homeostasis. Moreover, creatine has been shown oxidative stress, blah, blah, blah. So yes, you can see in summary, it's gaining recognition for its potential cognitive benefits and neuroprotective properties. And we can see all of the references verified that backs this. Creatine for neuroprotection in neurodegenerative disease, potential cognitive enhance, and so on. All right, so this is pretty much in a nutshell. As you can see, the model is faster, more responsive. You can get more feedback throughout your interaction, and you can fully rely on the answers and references, and you can see which of the answers, in each answer, which reference was used, right? And of course, you can click it. For example, this is a link to Zendy and read the full paper, as usual. All right, and that is all. Over to you, Lisette.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
I think you mentioned earlier that before we go into any Q&A, if there is any,
Mhm.
I think you mentioned that you can do it in your own language, right? I know
That's
that you
exactly
are
right.
not from a native English background. Would you like to give that a go?
Absolutely. Not only that, I will do it in this same screen. I will mix it up. So the agent will detect this. I will, of course, the public probably won't understand Spanish, but I'll do it in Spanish.
I think
Oh,
it's a nice form of accessibility, right? I mean, I'm
exactly.
not native English in either. And what I really like about this is that when I look for something research, that it's nice that the model gives me a bit of Dutch summary first before I dive into the actual article. That thinking process, I can now let the AI assistant do instead of me having to translate the summary into Dutch, right? That's what I really like about this.
So for example, here I'm writing in my own dialect, like my Spanish variant, which is really unique and I have some typos. It's really unique from the region I was born, not even my country, right? So, but it should easily understand the typos and my slang, and it's mixed with the English because I start with English. So let's see. I'm asking which dose is recommended to take daily. I'm not even giving extra context nor anything, so it should be able to do it
So that's
automatically.
still about the creatine, right? You're expecting now that
Yes.
it will reply in, okay.
And it's, even though I started the conversation in English, right? It replied in Spanish because it's replying in the language I asked the question, the latest question. So it's giving me the range of supplementation during load period, and if any attendant is knows Spanish, he can see what I'm saying, and obviously the references in the original language because it got the answers from papers in English. So it's bridging the language barrier basically.
Nice, very nice. Definitely one touch that I find very useful when I create my articles into having that translation process done by the AI instead of having to do it myself. Thank you
Yes,
for that.
absolutely.
Can we check? So I see a question here. Can the model search and refer research from the web? Thank you, Jana, for asking.
In principle, yes. It's a matter of just adding another agent to do that, right? We could do that, but we are also very mindful about the licensing and how from where we get our data and information. So if it's in principle, we can create an agent to search specific websites. Maybe we have an agreement with a specific publisher to create their website, and we can do it live. Or we can access APIs or anything that we are authorized to access. So yes, in principle, yes, we could do that.
Thank you for that question. Are there any other questions? Let me go into the Q&A box and quickly check. So Martin is saying, thank you, the new release looks really great. Can you elaborate anything about future plans? What are our next steps? What are the challenges that we want to solve? I know that one big thing that's on our mind is around research integrity, very hot topic at the moment because of the arrival of AI tools, but also with the existing generative AI tools that are out there. Is there anything that we foresee that we could do maybe in the next couple of months? We don't have to give like an exact date yet,
Yes.
but we could do on this.
Something that we are working on and hoping to release early next year. It's that you won't have this screen anymore that separates ZAIA screen to interact with our application. Everything will be embedded as part of one thing, and it's basically that anything you search here will immediately trigger the assistant if needed, right? So this will enhance and use AI for your research discovery process, right? It will help you finding out your research process and interacting with you throughout that process. So not the typical conversational AI only, but also augmenting your search results and helping you out to find quicker and more accurate results throughout. So there won't be any more the screen of your chatbot assistant like any other app like OpenAI, etc. You will have a full integrated experience with Zendy.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to that actually, how that will come about. I think that's going to get
Yeah,
you to the right answer even faster.
yeah.
So Anouk has posted another question here. It dives a little bit into that research integrity again. So where does SAIA at the moment find the data for answering questions? What sources are we using? And how can researchers, but also librarians, be assured that these sources are trustworthy? So I can start a little bit. Because the big difference that we currently have in terms of content compared to like the generative AI tools that are freely out there and that everyone is using and not part of a library as ours is right now is the licensing, right? So we work with publishers to get the content licensed. That is licensed based on open access, can be licensed based on the paywall content, but also we actually license for using their sources in answering the questions through ZAIA, right? Is there anything else that you can add there, Rodrigo?
No, all of the metadata and no, and fully open access content, we try to get, and we run big data processes to make sure and improve the quality of the data. Of course, we are talking about hundreds of millions of records. It's not an easy task. So it's an ongoing effort to improve the data quality, combine different open access data sets to make sure the data is up to date and is reliable always.
Thank you. Very important, I think, nowadays for sure. There's an additional question around the use of ZAIA. So we use it on its own, right? And then referring to all the content that's out there. But we also have the possibility to use ZAIA on article level. So when you see an article in the results and you want to ask some more questions about that article to see whether it's something that you want to discover further or maybe review, do you now use the same model in that chat, or is it just on the overall ZAIA? Let's call it
No,
overall
yes,
ZAIA for now.
it's the agentic AI. However, you won't notice much difference when you are asking questions about a specific paper, right? So in terms of the experience, it's the same because you're basically asking regarding a specific paper.
And could I still ask, for instance, in Dutch, if I have a question that works for both, right? That
Yes.
it doesn't matter where I use ZAIA. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. And then I have another question here. So this is a bit more like beyond researchers, because the researchers are a lot of the time also affiliated with the library. So this is interesting for libraries and universities as well. So can you explain a little bit of how we can add as a library more internal sources or any other external sources that are not like published content? How can we add that to the library catalog? Is that an option?
Yes, absolutely. We have a B2B model and basically allows institutions to use Zendy content as a baseline if they decide to, of course, and also add their own data sources, right? Any data source that we can access, we can add it, right? If it is indexable, or we can query, whether it is a database, an API, anything, then we can add it as part of. And we have different plans for that. And yes, feel free to reach out to know more about our plans.
Yeah, I really like that, because I was at an event yesterday where I heard some governments, for instance, and some health institutions, but also in the finance world, people talk about how they were not allowed to use ChatGPT tools on their server because of the confidentiality of all the documents, right? So it sounds like this could be another solution for that in
That's
the
exactly
future.
right. You can
Yeah,
index
thank you.
for your internal usage, anything, tutorials, LibGuides, it's something that is unique of your institution and only your institution has access to, we can index it for you.
That's great. That's great news. Are there any more questions? I'm quickly taking a look. I'll give you probably a few more seconds if there's still a question that's on your mind now that we still have Rodrigo on this call. And otherwise, I thank everyone. This recording will become available. It will be sent to you whether you've registered or whether you have attended today. We'll also place it on our YouTube channels. I think the one thing that would be useful for us as as a company almost to share with you as well is that we really believe in responsible use of AI tools and understanding what you're working with. So what I wanted to throw in the chat for everyone is a free course that teaches you the basics of AI while we wait whether there's any questions left. It's an accredited course. It talks about a university situation where you can, get more knowledge about the wording that's being used, but also there's a use case into making sure that AI is ethically used, because it's all great that we can do these things and that we can save like lots of time and that we can browse through like fast amounts of research. but let's all agree that we do it responsibly. So I see there's no more questions. So I just want to thank everyone for their presence, and thank you, Rodrigo, for sharing these exciting new opportunities. And I hope that we can do something again, maybe early next year when we have even more to show around research integrity,
Absolutely.
right? And yeah, if any questions are still there, please do reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer those. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.